I don't really try to emulate a certain accent like American or British, but maybe my pronunciation is a little bit influenced by American accent and sometimes British as well. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Endar. Today we are going to have a little interview about accent we use in learning and teaching English. And let's jump to the first question. From
Okay.
your experience teaching English for college students, do you adopt a certain accent to your student? And as a teacher, is it important to use a certain accent when we teach?
Mhm. Well, that's an interesting question, Mega, because it's actually very closely related to one of the topics that you have learned in Introduction to Linguistics, especially phonetics and phonology. Yeah? So, if we refer back to your question, do I adopt a certain accent in my teaching? In the past, when I, was a starter in teaching English, when I started to teach English, I think it's back then in about 2000 and 2013 or yeah, I think 2013, yeah. Yes, I tried to adopt American accent. Yeah. So at that time uh, when I was a fresh graduate, I tried to emulate American English because at that time I believed that American English accent was good. I believed that it was the right thing to teach to the students at that time. Yeah. But then if you ask the same question to me now at this moment, I would say that well, I try to speak good English, but not a certain accent like say American accent or British accent. So uh, personally, in my opinion, I don't try to emulate American accent or British accent. So I just try to speak good English by trying to identify the right, say, pronunciation, the right stress, because, in phonetics and phonology, the aspects that we need to emphasize when speaking that can make our speech understandable or not is aspects like pronunciation. When we deal with pronunciation, it's going to be related to how we pronounce vowels, how
Yeah.
we pronounce consonants, and then another thing that we might need to pay attention is the stress. Yeah, the stress. So how we emphasize certain syllables within a word or within a sentence, for example. Yeah. So we need to stress some parts of the words or of the sentences. So those are some examples of the things that I pay attention when speaking. But getting back to your question, I don't really try to emulate a certain accent like American or British, but maybe my pronunciation is a little bit influenced by American accent and sometimes British as well. Yeah, I'm not sure me myself. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So from your explanation for the starter learning, is it okay to use like the Indonesian Medok English, like for the starter or the young learners? Is it okay?
When dealing with accents, yes. As a as a linguist, you may call me linguist, yeah. So I try to research languages, including English, and prescriptively speaking, prescriptively means based on the theories, based on the research, I'd say that speaking like a Javanese speaker or Indonesian speaker is okay, as long as we pronounce the words correctly, we put stress in the right place, yeah, because those are very important in understanding. So, our interlocutor, our listener, will understand our speaking or not, depending on those aspects like stress, like um, you know, intonation. So different intonation might influence the meaning. When you pronounce a question, for example, yeah,
Mm.
uh, you will use different intonation from when you are speaking a statement, when you are telling a statement, yeah. So a statement will have a different intonation from question, for example. Those aspects are crucial, and we need to pay attention to those. So, if we try to answer your question, is it okay to speak like a Japanese or like an Indonesian? Yes, I'd say that it's okay. Personally, yeah. So personally, I'll say it's okay as long as you pronounce, you use the right intonation, yeah. You pronounce the words correctly, and then you put the right stress, yeah, in the right place. Yeah,
Okay, so the most important is our partner in speaking know what actually we're talking about, like right, sir?
correct.
Okay.
And it also, yes, and it also depends on whom you are speaking to.
Mm.
Let's say if you are using English in, for example, yeah, in Thailand or maybe in Malaysia or in Singapore, probably if you try to speak like, for example, British speakers, yeah, uh, it might be hard for them to understand you as well, right? Because they tend to have the same or similar accent to us, yeah. So based on what I've witnessed,
Mm.
Asian speakers or Southeast Asian speakers, they tend to have similar accent to us, yeah, even though there are some differences. Especially, for example, Thai people, Vietnamese people, and Japanese people, those are people that have different accents from us. But if you look at, let's say, Filipino people or
Mm.
Malaysian people, they tend to have similar accent to us, right? So speaking in a British accent for um, people who work as academicians, I think they will understand what you are saying. But when you're talking to, let's say, taxi drivers on the street, even though they understand English, but if you try to make your English like a sophisticated kind of English because you want to sound smart, for example, it might not be successful when you are talking to, let's say, a taxi driver. So, pragmatically speaking, this is our next topic, yeah, pragmatics in Introduction to Linguistics. Uh, we need to pay attention who we are speaking to, yeah, and
Okay.
in that situation, when we are speaking to someone, we're gonna need to make sure that our messages are delivered well. And one of the criteria for that, I think, is by adjusting our way of speaking and then adjusting our choice of words and also, I think, including the accent. So, for example, if you are talking to British speakers, yes, speaking British accent, yeah, using British accent will help. If you're talking to Americans, using American accent will so much help you in delivering your messages. But when you're talking to, let's say, Thai people, I don't think it's gonna help that much compared to when you're using your own accent, like Indonesian accent or Japanese accent. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so in my opinion, it's not really important, but it is better when we can adopt like one of English accent, right? And for the last question, for they who speak English as the first language and who speaking English for the second language, is there any difference for them to learn certain accent?
Yes. So, uh, even the term accent is quite hard to define, right? How do you define accent? So,
Uh,
or Meka, would you like to share your opinion about it? So, what is accent? Do you
accent
have
is
any thought?
like accent is like the way we pronounce something, because I think some word we speak in like the British accent, it might different with the American.
Okay, so we have pronunciation then.
Yes.
Pronunciation. Yes. And different accents might have different phonetic transcription. I think you have learned about that, right? So, for example, the phonetic transcription of the British English will be different from the phonetic transcription of American English. So it
Yes.
means that they have their own, even their own vowels sometimes, right? So British, they use a little bit different kind of vowel compared to American English, for example. So yes, vowels can be different. So when we try to relate it to pronunciation, for example, what about the Indonesian accent? Then it's gonna raise another question, right? It's gonna
Yes.
raise another question when we are asking the same question to, let's say, Indonesian accent or maybe Japanese accent. And right now I'm currently researching about it, actually, about the topic Indonesian English. So hopefully next year I can publish my writing about it. Yeah. So I'm currently researching about what is meant by Indonesian English and what is okay. I mean, what is understandable when we use English like Indonesians. Yeah. What is understandable, what is okay, and what is not okay. I'm trying to figure it out, but I haven't got the answers to all the questions yet. But yeah, I agree with you. Accent is a combination of a lot of things, including pronunciation, including, you know, even intonation. Yeah, even intonation and other things. Yes.
Okay. And
So,
yeah.
mhm,
Okay. And is
yeah.
there any tips for us as the student to study some accent fluently and speak naturally like the native speaker out there, sir?
Yes, for me, the goal shouldn't be to learn a certain accent successfully. No, I think that's not a good goal right now, yeah, for English language teaching. The goal should be to learn to speak English correctly and appropriately. And by correctly, I mean we need to understand the phonological system of English, especially if you are English language teachers. Yeah, so you need to understand the phonological systems of the language. If you understand the phonological systems of the language, you will know which are right and which are wrong, right?
Yes.
So when you hear somebody speaks English in a wrong manner, you will know it. And usually the wrong ones are not in terms of accent. I don't think that accent will make our speech wrong or right. I think one of several aspects. There are several aspects, but if I could mention one of the several aspects is like pronunciation. So we have some contrasting consonants, like for example, th and t, right?
Yes.
So those are two different consonants. If you study phonetics and phonology, you will understand that those are two different consonants. So for example, when we say tiga in English, it's gonna be three, right? It's not
Yes.
three. Yeah, so it's gonna be three, not three. Yeah. So the second one, that means pohon, right? So something like that. So as long as we pronounce the words correctly, yeah, we use the right sounds like vowels, consonants. I think it's okay, even though we are using Indonesian accent or Japanese accent. But if we are using Japanese accent with the wrong pronunciation, like for example, when we say uh, three, instead of saying three, we say three, or we say uh, what else? Like instead of saying the, we say the, something like that. I
Yes.
think it's not good. First, it's not good subjectively, and it's not right phonetically, right? In terms of the phonetic transcription, in terms of the phonology, it's wrong. Yeah. So I think English teachers in Indonesia need to understand that. It's not to emulate, it's not to imitate foreign accents like American accents or British accents, but it's to speak correctly so that other people from the United States, from the United Kingdom, they understand what we are saying. What
Okay.
about you? What do you think?
I think I'm agree with you because as long as the partner know what we're talking about, I think that's good. Not really about the adopting some accent like we can use like the Indonesian Mado accent if we not study more about the accent further, right?
Yes, yes, I agree. We can use Indonesian accent, we can use Japanese accent, as long as it is correct. Yeah, as long as the pronunciation is correct, as long as the intonation is appropriate. So, for example, if you want to ask a question, but then the intonation is a falling kind of intonation, like in a statement, for example, if you want to ask like, uh, let's say, do you do you have do you do you have some money, for example, do you have some money? If we ask that question in a falling intonation, people will misunderstand what we are saying, right? If we
Yes.
say like, do you have some money? Or yeah, intonation, yes. Or even when we are saying a statement, I have some money, but then, if I raise the intonation, if I use rising intonation, it's going to be like, uh, I have some money. It sounds like I'm not sure, yeah, whether I
Yes.
have some money or not. It's like I'm questioning myself. I have some money. So yes, intonation will makes difference in meaning. So whether it's rising or falling intonation.
Okay, so accent is deals with some aspect, right? Like the pronunciation, where country we are at, and to whom we are talking about. All right, sir. I think that's our final session. Thank you so much for Mr. Endar for joining this session interview. I really appreciate every detail of your answer, and I hope we can meet in another time and discuss about learning English further. I think that's all, sir. Thank you for your participation.
My pleasure, mate. Good questions, by the way.